Good afternoon, George. I hope I'm not bothering you at work right now. I wanted to ask you about something. My daughter told me that the two of you were thinking about moving. Is that correct? I understand you've been driving all around town looking for a new place.
Yeah, you heard it right. We're getting out of this old dump. Our apartment's lease is up in a couple months, so we figured it's either now or never. This place has served us pretty well for the time we've been here, but the place is starting to get kinda cluttered, right? We'd like to move into a place that's a bit bigger if possible.
Well, that sure is exciting for you, isn't it? And Jessica says you haven't found one yet?
No, we're still looking. We'd like to rent a house this time around, but that's gonna mean a big increase in rent, right? But it's not like either of our salaries are going to increase just because we're moving, so we've got two choices. One, we rent a house that's the size we want but might be a bit far away from our respective companies. Or two, we settle for a smaller place than we'd like, but that's closer to the city. We're having a really hard time making up our minds.
Well, that's precisely what I was hoping to talk to you about today. Now, let me ask you, George, are you too particular about the age of the house you move into?
Oh, is there one you had in mind?
Yes, indeed. It's a 50-year-old house. However, the entire interior was just renovated about 10 years ago, so the inside of the house is quite lovely. Does that seem like something you might be interested in?
Hey, if the interior is nice, that's really all that matters to me. I'll only look at the outside when I'm coming home from work. Plus, you know what they say, they don't make them like they used to. Older houses are typically a lot sturdier than the ones they make these days.
It sounds like this place will be perfect then. There's no one living in it right now, so it's available. It belonged to my husband's uncle before he passed away. That was about 3 years ago.
I see. So who owns the house now? Your husband's cousins?
No, it actually belongs to my husband.
Really? How did that happen?
Oh, it's quite simple. His uncle didn't have any children, and all his other cousins live far away. None of them wanted it, so they were gracious enough to let my husband inherit it.
Wow, that was kind of them.
What's more is the location is excellent, so my husband was considering selling it for the extra money. But if you kids would like to live there, then you're more than welcome.
You would do that for us? That is incredibly gracious of you, Mom. Are you sure you're fine with us living there?
Of course, it's better than letting it collect dust, right? I just wish we could provide you with something a bit newer.
Nah, don't worry about that at all. Like I said, I'm more concerned about the interior. So how big is the house?
It's 2 stories tall with a walkout basement. The basement is mostly unfinished, but there's a room down there that can be used as an office if you'd like. The master bedroom is on the 2nd floor, and there's a guest bedroom on the main floor. Also, there's a full bath next to the master bedroom and a half bath on the ground floor. Do you suppose that would be large enough for you?
Nah, it's too small. I'd need at least 5 more bedrooms. Just kidding. It would be perfect for us. The extra space will come in handy once we start having kids, too. And I mean, I'm not one to look a gift horse in the mouth. We'd love to live there.
I'm glad to hear it. But are you sure you'll be all right with living in such an old house? It's nothing like the stylish sort of home you young folks are into these days.
I've never been one for following style trends, so I'm sure it won't be a problem. Besides, we can always just put some new furniture or decorations in the house to spice it up a little bit, if we feel so inclined.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful plan. You're welcome to make any alterations to the place that you'd like. So, would you like to come by this weekend and see it in person?
Sure, that'd be great.
You're sure to love the neighbors as well. We've known them for ages. We've met with them several times over the years when they've gone to visit my husband's uncle. They're absolutely wonderful people. So you won't have to worry about any trouble with them.
Man, this house almost sounds like it's too good to be true. Oh, and I suppose we should get this out of the way. What would you like us to pay for rent? Our current budget for rent is $1,500. Is that enough?
1,500? Oh, don't be ridiculous. That's nowhere near enough. $3,000 a month, no less.
Really?
Of course not.
Man, you had me going for a minute there, Mom. So really, how much should we pay you?
You don't need to pay us a dime.
What? No, I couldn't live there for free. I really would like to pay you something, even if it's just enough to cover property taxes.
I mean it, dear. You don't need to pay us anything. You're doing us a favor. With you two living there, we won't have to worry about fires or break-ins. How about this? Rather than pay us for rent, you can simply take care of the house for us. Mow the grass, trim the hedges, that sort of thing.
I still feel like that's not enough. You know how insane rent is getting these days, right? It would cost us way more than the $3,000 you jokingly said to rent a house that size. But if you say so, then I suppose I'll have to take you up on that offer. Don't worry, we'll take great care of the house.
Thank you so much, dear.
No, don't thank me, Mom. We're the ones who should be thanking you. You can't imagine how much of a help it'll be for us to not have to pay any rent. That's basically our single biggest expenditure as things stand.
Well, then you can put the money that you've been paying in rent into savings from now on. That will come in handy in your future.
You're absolutely right. We'll do our best not to take it for granted and be just as frugal as we've been. With this, we'll be able to save more money this year than we have in the last several years.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. I'll send you some pictures of the house in the meantime. Then you can come and see it firsthand this week.
Sounds like a plan. I really can't express enough how much I appreciate this, Mom. Hey there, Mom. I just wanted to tell you thanks again for helping us out with the move the other day, as well as for the gift you gave us. You didn't have to do that. It's enough of a gift that you're allowing us to live here. Really, with this, you won't even need to give us any Christmas presents for the rest of our lives. Sorry it took me a few days to send you a thank you message. We've been busy, as I'm sure you understand.
Don't mention it, dear. It was our pleasure. Have you gotten all your things sorted out then?
Yep, we just got finished unloading the last cardboard box yesterday evening.
Excellent. And are you getting accustomed to the house? How is it treating you?
It's better than I ever imagined. I can't believe we put up with living in an apartment for as long as we did. This is fantastic.
Are you finding it comfortable? Well, the age of the house still has me concerned.
Everything about the house is great, Mom. It's like you said, the renovation was really well done. I especially love the full bath on the second floor. It even has a built-in jacuzzi.
My husband's uncle had excellent taste, didn't he?
Yeah, you can say that again. Oh, and thanks for giving me the idea about turning the basement room into an office.
Oh, so you did take my idea then? That's wonderful. So you have your own office now? I know how often you work from home.
Yeah, that's one of the wonderful things about running your own business. You end up taking work home with you just about every day. I've had to set up shop in the middle of our living room up until now, which Jessica wasn't a big fan of. Now I'll be able to get my work done more efficiently and without bothering my wife.
I'm glad I could do my part to reduce friction between you two. Not that there was ever much friction to begin with. I love seeing how well you and my daughter get along, George.
And a big part of that is thanks to you guys.
Oh?
Yeah, you and Dad have always been really generous to us with presents. You bought us our sofa, TV, microwave, and a few other things. And somehow you always managed to buy us something that we were planning to buy ourselves. That has saved us a lot of trouble and made our lives a lot easier. We really owe a lot to you.
Oh, don't be silly, George. We've never bought you anything that extravagant.
Be that as it may, you've done more for us than we could ever possibly repay. And that was even before you allowed us to live here. We never thought that we would have a house like this. Well, I guess technically we don't have it since it's in your husband's name.
If you'd like, we would be more than willing to sign it over to you. But you'd rather live in a house you built for yourselves, wouldn't you? Actually, that sounds like it would be a wonderful idea. We could demolish that old house you're living in, give you the land, and let you build whatever house you'd like. My husband has been saying that if you two were ever to build a house, he would cover the down payment for you.
You would do that for us? My gosh, Mom, stop giving us so much. The guilt is starting to get overwhelming. I've never met anyone as generous as you in my entire life.
All we want in our life is to see our daughter and the man she chose to be her husband become as happy as possible. We're glad to do whatever we can to make that happen. Good evening, George. I hope I'm not disturbing the two of you by texting this late. Are you going out to dinner or something?
Hey, Mom. No, I'm out of the house right now, but Jessica should be at home. Why do you ask?
She's at home, is she? Oh, that's strange. There doesn't appear to be a single light on in the house. I thought for sure there was nobody home. I just so happened to drive by your house on the way home from a friend's house.
Huh. You know what? I'll bet Jessica just went to bed early. It's almost like sleeping is her hobby or something. There are some days when she's in bed and asleep before 9 o'clock.
Really? Well, that's odd. She was never like that when she was a child. Has she been like this for a while? Is she having any health issues?
No, she's perfectly fine as far as I can tell. She's as healthy as a horse, pardon the metaphor. Was there something you wanted to talk to her about?
I was just concerned about her is all. I haven't heard much of anything at all from her lately. I try calling her, but she doesn't answer. I text her, but she doesn't reply. When I think about it, I haven't seen her in over 2 months now.
I'm sorry, Mom. I should have told you. Jessica is super duper busy right now, and it's all my fault.
What do you mean?
I'm having her help me out with some work stuff.
Could you be more specific?
She was an accountant back before we got married, and her license is still valid, so she's taking care of filing my company's taxes this year. I was never very good with numbers, taxes, paperwork, and that sort of thing, so having her do it for me is a massive help. It lets me focus on the more important business matters.
I see.
And the reason it's particularly bad right now is because we got a huge influx in orders in the last quarter. She's got a stack of paperwork about a yard high that she's got to sort through, so yeah, that's why she's been so busy and tired lately. I'm really sorry.
Oh, you don't need to apologize to me, George. I know you're plenty busy yourself. I'm sure Jessica's proud to be able to support such a capable and hard-working man as yourself.
Hey, I'm nothing compared to Jessica. You should see her when she's on the job. She is super focused. And she seems like she legitimately enjoys it, too. I'll bet she likes doing my paperwork more than she likes doing the housework. Who knows, maybe one of these days I'll put her in charge of the business and take care of the house for her instead.
Ever since she was a little girl, she's always loved being helpful. It's not surprising to hear that she's so jovial about supporting you. This is a tough time for you, so make sure that you're there for each other. I'm sure that the two of you can get through anything as long as you work together.
We'll definitely do that, Mom. I'll have her contact you just as soon as her workload settles down. Again, I'm sorry to make you worry about her. I should have said something to you sooner.
No, I'm sorry for taking time out of your busy schedule. I'll leave you to your work, George. Have a nice evening. Hello there, George. Do you have a minute?
What's up, Mom?
I was wondering, is Jessica with you right now?
She sure is. We're out on a little mini vacation right now. We're staying in a bed and breakfast in the woods, and it is gorgeous.
Oh, well, isn't that nice? Are you enjoying yourselves?
Yeah, it's super relaxing out here. We've been so busy with work lately that I thought it would be nice to have a little overnight outing. Just to get away from everything and unwind. So is there something I can do for you? Is something up?
Yes, actually, I received a call from your neighbors. You know, the couple that I told you we were friendly with? They told me that there was something odd with the house, so I came out here to check on it. I'm standing at the front door right now, and I hear a voice calling from inside the house. But you tell me that you're both out at that bed and breakfast, so what in the world could this voice be?
Wait, you're at the house right now?
That's right. When the neighbors told me they heard a strange voice coming from inside the house, I rushed down here right away to see what was going on.
A strange voice? What in the world could that be?
So you're not sure either? Well, in that case, I'm terribly sorry to do this while you're away, but I'm going to head inside and check it out for myself. I brought my spare key with me, so I'll get to the bottom of this.
Wait, Mom! Do not go inside the house!
George, what's the matter?
It's too dangerous for you to go alone. You have no idea what's in there. It could be a burglar.
Oh, you're absolutely right. What was I thinking? I'll call the police and have them come in with me.
No, you don't need to do that. Seriously, it's all right. You don't need to worry about it. You know what? I'll bet that voice is coming from the TV. We were watching a horror movie before we left. I'll bet it got turned on somehow and the movie started playing by itself. Yeah, that's gotta be it. Tell the neighbors it'll be over soon, okay? You can go ahead and go home now.
George, is something wrong? You're acting rather unlike yourself right now.
Don't be ridiculous. I'm perfectly fine.
Is there some reason that you don't want me to go inside your house, George? Something you don't want me to see?
No, that's not it at all.
Are you sure? It seems to me that there's at least one thing in there you wouldn't want me to see. Namely, the sight of my daughter tied up in the living room.
Did you already go inside the house?
Indeed I did.
That's trespassing. You can't just go into people's houses without permission.
You didn't close the curtains all the way when you left. I could see her through the gaps. You'll have to excuse me for not being more considerate of your privacy after seeing that. Also, lest you forget, my husband and I are still the legal owners of this house. We have every right to enter whenever we please.
But it's still my house! You had no business going in there after I told you not to!
My daughter's safety is more important than your pride as the man of the house. I had no choice but to go in and rescue her as quickly as possible. Jessica told me everything you've been doing to her, George. You've been treating her like some sort of slave.
No, I haven't!
Then why did you bind her arms and legs with duct tape and tie her to the pillar in the living room? Can you explain that to me?
Well, it's, kind of a game, get it?
A game?
You know, the kind of game that adults play? In bed? I know it seems odd, but I swear she loves that sort of thing. In fact, she's the one who asked me to tie her up like that. I'm not a particularly big fan. I like doing it the normal way, but she was insistent.
Don't insult my intelligence. She was shouting and crying for help when I found her. That voice the neighbors heard wasn't some horror movie, it was my daughter. You've been tying her up like this for months and forcing her to do your paperwork and the housework in exchange for giving her the bare minimum of food and water. I won't let you treat my daughter like this any longer.
I'm telling you, Mom, don't believe a word she says. Jessica's not the same person she used to be. She's gone insane. I'm not the abusive one. She is. I had to tie her up in order to stop her from attacking me. It was self-defense.
And now you're trying to blame Jessica for this?
Hey, I've been doing the very best job that I can trying to deal with her. I'm the one that got left holding the bag for your failed parenting.
We were completely wrong about you. We thought that you were a wonderful man who truly cared about our daughter, but now we know the truth. I've just taken the liberty of removing your things from the house. You'll find them down by the road in front of the house. You are no longer welcome.
You put my stuff down by the road? You can't do that! That's all my stuff!
On the contrary, my husband is the owner of the house, and we were merely allowing you to live there. That permission has been revoked, effective immediately.
That still doesn't give you the right to throw my stuff outside!
Oh, don't worry, the ground isn't that wet right now, so your things shouldn't get terribly dirty.
That's not the issue! You going all crazy on me is the issue!
After what you've put my daughter through, you think you have the right to call anyone else crazy? I took my daughter to the hospital. They'll be keeping her there overnight for observation. She was dreadfully malnourished. She's lost at least 15 pounds since I last saw her. It must have been torturous for her these last few months. I've talked things over with my husband, and we've decided to take legal action against you.
What? You're gonna sue me? Can't we talk about this? We're family, right? Families don't sue each other.
You are no longer a part of this family. Jessica will divorce you as soon as her health allows.
You can't make her do that.
I don't have to. She wants to divorce you.
Well, I'll never consent.
Once again, you don't need to. Our attorney will take care of you. My husband has been talking to him about the case while I've been taking care of my daughter and disposing of your things. We won't be pulling our punches, George. You should know by now that we will spare no expense when it comes to protecting our daughter's happiness.
Please, you don't have to do this. All I was trying to do was teach her some discipline. It wasn't torture or punishment or slavery or anything like that.
Discipline? Oh, you can't be serious. This is what you call discipline? Exactly what about Jessica was undisciplined, Can you tell me that?
Oh, I'll tell you all about it. That girl is rebellious like you wouldn't believe. This was the only way I could get her to stay in line.
Goodness, George, is English not your strong suit? Asking you to reduce the amount of work you were forcing her to do is not rebellious. Jessica told me everything. Once she started complaining about having too much work, you started threatening her with violence.
What? That's not true. I wasn't threatening her. Sure, maybe I lost my temper and yelled at her a bit, but is that such a crime?
Yelling? No, that is not a crime. Threatening her with violence, restraining her against her will, denying her food and water, those are all serious, serious crimes. All she did was push back against your outrageous expectations of her, and you bound her hands and feet for that?
I told you I had to! She was trying to run away! This was the only way to make sure she stayed in the house!
Yes, you couldn't have her running away, could you? That would have foiled your plan to use her as your slave for the rest of her life. And that's why you concocted this vicious, evil scheme of yours to tie her up and keep her in the house.
Look, Mom, this is a matter between me and my wife. She might not have enjoyed the discipline program I've been putting her through, but it is my prerogative as her husband to do what I see as best for her. And that's what I did. There was never any malicious intent. I was trying to help her.
I am not concerned about your intent. All that matters to me is that your so-called discipline program was grueling enough to put her in the hospital. Are you under the impression that having good intentions is a justification for causing such serious harm to a person? Let's see how far that excuse will take you in a court of law.
Okay, how about a compromise? You drop your lawsuit and get Jessica to stay married to me and not press charges. In return, I'll ease up on the discipline. How's that sound? I swear this time I'll get things right and we'll become the happy family we've always wanted to be.
No family that you're a part of will ever be happy, George. Now stop this foolishness and divorce my daughter without putting up a fuss. I'm not sure if you're aware, but the deepest circle of hell is reserved for those who betray their benefactors. We've been nothing but generous to you, and this is how you repay us? By tormenting our daughter? The time has come for you to go through our discipline program, George. I think you'll find it much harsher than yours. Thanks to the excellent work of my husband's attorney, we were able to make the divorce happen without Jessica ever having to come face to face with George. We settled our civil suit against George with a 6-figure lump sum payment to Jessica to avoid a lengthy and emotionally painful trial. George's legal troubles weren't over yet. He went on to face a criminal kidnapping charge for which he was found guilty and sentenced to 6 months in prison. After he got out, he attempted to get his business back up and running, but without my daughter there to do the heavy lifting, it soon went bankrupt. He tried to find employment with some of the clients who had been loyal to his company over the years, but word had gotten around about his crimes. Having become jobless, penniless, and friendless, George added a fourth less to his name: homeless. It's my understanding that he's now staying in a homeless shelter in the downtown area most of the time. We debated what to do with the house they lived in and eventually decided that the best thing for us would be to sell it. There were too many bad memories in there to use it anymore. As for my daughter Jessica, she was released after a few days in the hospital and moved back into our house. Her first order of business was being able to eat normally again. Once she was able to do that, she started recovering quickly. Within just 3 months, she was already back up to a healthy body weight and started looking for work as an accountant again. One of her old schoolmates, a fine young gentleman, has been stopping by the house quite often lately to check up on her. He came to me the other day to ask if he thought it would be appropriate to ask her out on a date, to which I gave my full blessing. I've known him and his parents ever since he was a little boy. I can rest assured that he'll be an excellent companion for Jessica.